10 mind-blowing facts about Jupiter. Fact number 1. Jupiter is massive. As we've already mentioned, Jupiter is massive and is the largest planet in the solar system. But this description really doesn't do it justice. For one, the mass of Jupiter is 318 times as massive as the Earth. In fact, Jupiter is 2.5 times more massive than all of the other planets in the solar system combined. But here's the really interesting thing. If Jupiter got any more massive, it would actually get smaller. Additional mass would actually make the planet denser, which would cause it to start pulling itself in on itself. Astronomers estimate that Jupiter could end up with 4 times its current mass and still remain about the same size. Isn't that a crazy fact? But wait, the craziest is yet to come. Let's move on to the next one. Fact number 2. Jupiter cannot become a star. Can Jupiter become a star? No way! Have you ever heard that astronomers even call Jupiter a failed star? Well, it is safe to say that it is not really an appropriate description. While it is true that, like a star, Jupiter is rich with hydrogen and helium, but does not have nearly enough mass to trigger a fusion reaction in its core. This is how stars generate energy, by fusing hydrogen atoms together under extreme heat and pressure to create helium, releasing light and heat in the process. This is made possible by their enormous gravity. For Jupiter to ignite a nuclear fusion process and become a star, it would need more than 70 times its current mass. If you could crash dozens of Jupiters together, you might have a chance to make a new star. But in the meantime, Jupiter shall remain a large giant gas with no hopes of becoming a star. Sorry, Jupiter. But it seems like Jupiter is fine with being a planet, at least because he is the fastest spinning planet in the solar system. Fact number 3. Jupiter is the fastest spinning planet in the solar system. Who said a huge planet can't be fast? For all its size and masses, Jupiter sure moves quickly. In fact, with a rotational velocity of 12.6 kilometers per second, or about 7.45 meters per second, or 45,300 kilometers per hour, or 28,148 miles per hour, the planet only takes about 10 hours to complete a full rotation on its axis. And because it's spinning so rapidly, the planet has flattened out at the poles a little and is bulging at its equator. In fact, points on Jupiter's equator are more than 4,600 kilometers further from the center than the poles. Or to put it another way, the planet's polar radius measures to 66,854 plus or minus 10 kilometers, or 10.517 that of Earth's, while its diameter at the equator is 71,492 plus or minus 4 kilometers, or 11.209 that of Earth's. This rapid rotation also helps generate Jupiter's powerful magnetic fields and contributes to the dangerous radiation surrounding it. Let's move on to the next mind-blowing fact. Fact number 4. The clouds on Jupiter are only 50 kilometers thick. That's right, all those beautiful whirling clouds and storms you see on Jupiter are only about 50 kilometers thick. They're made of ammonia crystals broken up into 2 different cloud decks. The darker material is thought to be compounds brought up from deeper inside Jupiter and then change color when they react with sunlight. But below these clouds, it's just hydrogen and helium, all the way down. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Great Red Spot, which you may have already heard about. Number 5. The Great Red Spot has been around for a long time. If you're into space, you probably know what we're going to talk about right now. The Great Red Spot on Jupiter is one of its most familiar features. The persistent anticyclonic storm, which is located south of its equator, measures between 24,000 kilometers in diameter and 12 to 14,000 kilometers in height. As such, it is large enough to contain 2 or 3 planets the size of Earth's diameter, and the spot has been around for at least 350 years, since it was spotted as far back as the 17th century. But do you know how this feature was discovered? It was a long time ago. The Great Red Spot was first identified in 1665 by Italian astronomer Giovanni Cassini. By the 20th century, astronomers began to theorize that it was a storm, one which was created by Jupiter's turbulent and fast-moving atmosphere. These theories were confirmed by the Voyager 1 mission, which observed the giant red spot up close in March of 1979 during its flyby of the planet. But what else is special about Jupiter? Its rings. Fact number 6. Jupiter has rings. Yeah, we know. It may come as a surprise, as when most people think of ring systems, Saturn naturally comes to mind. But in truth, both Uranus and Jupiter have ring systems of their own. Jupiter's were the third set to be discovered, after the other two, due to the fact that they're particularly faint. Jupiter's rings consist of 3 main segments: an inner torus of particles known as the halo, a relatively bright main ring, and an outer gossamer ring. These rings are widely believed to have come from material ejected by its moons when they're struck by meteorite impacts. In particular, the main ring is thought to be composed of material from the moons of Adrastea and Metis, while the moons of Thebe and Amalthea are believed to produce the 2 distinct components of the dusty gossamer ring. And now we're going to reveal the truth about Jupiter's magnetic field. Fact number 7. Jupiter's magnetic field is 14 times stronger than Earth's. If you're about to visit Jupiter, don't take your compass with you. Compasses would really work on Jupiter. That's because it has the strongest magnetic field in the solar system. Astronomers think the magnetic field is generated by the eddy currents, i.e. swirling movements of conducting materials, within the liquid metallic hydrogen core. This magnetic field traps particles of sulfur dioxide from Io's volcanic eruptions, which produce sulfur and oxygen ions. Together with hydrogen ions originating from the atmosphere of Jupiter, these form a plasma sheet in Jupiter's equatorial plane. Farther out, the interaction of the magnetosphere with the solar wind generates a bow shock, a dangerous belt of radiation that can cause damage to spacecraft. Jupiter's 4 largest moons all orbit within the magnetosphere, which protects them from the solar wind, but also makes the likelihood of establishing outposts on their surface problematic. The magnetosphere of Jupiter is also responsible for intense episodes of radio emission from the planet's polar regions. But as we already said before, the craziest facts are yet to come. Here is what will definitely make you shocked. But before we start, ask yourself, how many moons potentially Jupiter may have? Fact number 8. Jupiter has 67 moons. We hope you were close to the right answer. It is 67. 67 moons! Jupiter has 67 confirmed and named satellites. However, it is estimated that the planet has over 200 natural satellites orbiting it. Almost all of them are less than 10 kilometers in diameter and were only discovered after 1975, when the first spacecraft, Pioneer 10, arrived at Jupiter. However, it also has 4 major moons, which are collectively known as the Galilean moons, after their discovery by Galileo Galilei. These are, in order of distance from Jupiter, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. These moons are some of the largest in the solar system, with Ganymede being the largest, measuring 562 kilometers in diameter. Can you imagine our planet having so many moons? Okay, at least 2 of them. It would be really confusing. The next question we have is, how many times have humans visited Jupiter? Fact number 9. Jupiter has been visited 7 times by spacecraft. Not everyone is able to answer this question, but we want you to know that the planet has been visited 7 times so far. Jupiter was first visited by NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft in December 1973, and then Pioneer 11 in December 1974. Then came the Voyager 1 and 2 flybys, both of which happened in 1979. This was followed by a long break until Ulysses arrived in February 1992, followed by the Galileo space probe in 1995. Then Cassini made a flyby in 2000 on its way to Saturn. And finally, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft made its flyby in 2007. This was the last mission to fly past Jupiter, but it surely won't be the last. Who knows? Maybe very soon we'll be able to travel not only to Mars, but to Jupiter as well. At least we can clearly see Jupiter with our own eyes. Fact number 10. You can see Jupiter with your own eyes. Jupiter is the 3rd brightest object in the solar system, after Venus and the Moon. Chances are you saw Jupiter in the sky and had no idea that's what you were seeing. And here at Universe Today, we are in the habit of letting readers know when the best opportunities for spotting Jupiter in the sky are. Chances are, if you see a really bright star high in the sky, then you're looking at Jupiter. Get your hands on a pair of binoculars, and if you know someone with a telescope, that's even better. Using even modest magnification, you might even spot small specks of light orbiting it, which are its Galilean moons. Just think, you'll be seeing precisely what Galileo did when he gazed at the planet in 1610. Want to know more interesting facts? Subscribe to our channel and we'll get you covered with the most incredible information about all the things you like. See you in the next video. Bye.